Stavanger wakes slowly in early April. The light moves across the harbor in thin, reflective layers, touching the water before reaching the cobblestones of the old town shadows, rest between the narrow buildings, long and soft in the morning coolness. A faint breeze carries the smell of the sea inland, past parked bicycles, past quiet storefronts not yet open for the day. There is a stillness that belongs to cities before work begins, a quiet that feels temporary, as if holding its breath. Across the plaza, the glass facade of the Nokas cash depot waits in the weak spring light. Its windows reflect a pale sky, colorless and calm. Nothing in its appearance suggests movement, or the events it would soon become tied to, just another morning in a coastal city. Cool air, soft light, unhurried time. In the hours around dawn, people move through Stavanger in ordinary ways. Commuters cross small bridges. Workers unlocked quiet shops. Delivery vans stopped briefly, engines humming softly in the narrow streets. Among these slow patterns, there were also others moving, deliberate but unseen within the ordinary rhythm of the city. Vehicles passing without notice, individuals walking without attracting attention. Nothing loud, nothing rushed. The day would become defined by what happened next, yet the early moments held no warning, only the subtle alignment of people and places shaped by decisions made long before the morning arrived. Shortly after 8 o'clock, several men gathered near the depot. Their movements were coordinated, their actions timed. They wore dark clothing, and some carried items that would later be identified as equipment for forced entry. Inside the cash depot, employees were beginning their routines, counting, sorting, preparing the day's tasks. The atmosphere was quiet, broken only by small sounds. Doors closing, machines starting, voices low and steady. Outside, the men approached the building. A vehicle was positioned nearby. Their entry was forceful, and the situation changed quickly from stillness into something sharp and structured. In the plaza outside, a police officer responded. His presence added another thread to the unfolding moment, a thread that still rests heavily in the memory of the city. The robbers gained access to the vault area and removed a large quantity of cash. Their time inside was brief. Their exit was planned, their route prepared. The robbery itself lasted only minutes. When they left, they moved through the center of Stavanger as the morning continued for everyone else. Some aware that something had happened, others still unaware by mid-morning the robbers had escaped the city. The trail they left behind would become one of the largest investigations in Norwegian history. But in those first moments, the air above Stavanger was still, the sky unchanged, the harbor quiet. In the hours and days that followed, information gathered slowly. Officers documented the scene. The damaged areas of the building were examined. The movements inside the depot were traced as clearly as the evidence allowed. The abandoned getaway vehicles were found. Their interiors provided new details. Objects left behind, prints on surfaces, tools used during the operation. Over time, several suspects were identified. Some were apprehended in Norway, others were located abroad. Interviews were conducted, footage was reviewed, evidence accumulated gradually. Months passed before the full scope of the group was understood. The investigation expanded across borders, connecting individuals through meetings, conversations, and shared plans. For Stavanger, the plaza where the robbery began remained unchanged in appearance, but different in its atmosphere. People walked across it as before, yet the quiet carried a new depth, an awareness that a moment had occurred which would not be easily forgotten. Several items became central in the reconstruction of the robbery. A sledgehammer used for the break-in, protective clothing recovered from vehicles' communication devices, cash in uncirculated bundles connected to the depot. Each piece was examined, Photographed, catalogued, preserved, none of the objects told the full story on their own. They offered only fragments, clear in some ways, silent in others. The plaza outside the depot remained bare. Stone, steel, glass. No object left in that space could capture the complexity of the moment that occurred there. Inside the depot, door frames and walls showed physical marks where entry had been forced. These marks were measured and recorded, not to dramatize the event, but to understand its method. In the larger structure of the case, the objects became reference points, anchoring details within a long timeline. The Nokas robbery has been understood primarily through the lens of planning and coordination. Yet even within a well-documented event, there are unanswered questions. Some believe the group had additional support, individuals who were never identified, roles never clearly defined. Others suggest the planning might have stretched further back than initially assumed, with ideas exchanged long before concrete steps were taken. There are also questions about the intention behind specific actions, why certain routes were chosen, why specific tools were used, why some decisions were made in the precise way they were. It is possible that some details of the robbery were improvised within the larger structure. Others argue that the entire operation was calculated carefully, leaving little room for chance. Even with convictions, testimony, and evidence, the full picture of the planning process remains partly in shadow. Not everything that happened that morning is fully understood today. Stavanger continues, as it always has. The harbor shifts with the tide. People cross the plaza with grocery bags, with backpacks, with umbrellas when the rain arrives from the sea. The depot building still stands, its facade quiet again. Glass reflecting the same pale sky. Stone holding its place against the waterfront. Most who pass it now do so without slowing their steps. Years have moved across the city since that April day. New buildings have appeared. Children who were not yet born now walk the same streets. The memory of the robbery remains, but softened by time, sitting low in the collective awareness rather than sharp at the surface. From the hills overlooking the city, Stavanger appears as a collection of rooftops, harbor cranes, and calm water. There is nothing in the landscape that marks the event clearly, only the knowledge that it unfolded here, quietly on the map, yet significant in memory. The Nokas robbery is often spoken of as one of the most significant criminal events in modern Norway. Its scale, its planning, its consequences, all have been examined, written about, and discussed. Yet at its core, beneath the layers of analysis, there is a simple truth, a moment in a quiet city morning that shifted the course of many lives. The plaza grows silent at night, just as it did before the robbery and just as it did after. Streetlights glow softly against the glass of nearby buildings. Footsteps echo and fade. The wind from the harbor moves through the empty spaces between benches and stone walls. Time continues, unaffected in its pace, carrying the story further away from the present. With each passing year, there is no final clarity to offer, only the quiet memory of a morning that began like any other, calm, cool, and ordinary, before becoming something that would linger in the stillness of Stavanger for a long time to come.